Is this camera still relevant in year 2025? 10 years after this has been released. This is Sony A7S II. My take, absolutely yes. If you are a wedding videographer who want to use wide lens, yes, go and take it. If you are a YouTuber who just going to put a camera on that side and record something like this, my advice, go and get it. If you are somebody who actually shooting product photography, videography, yes, somehow it works in photo as well. If yes, my input, you go and take it. So guys, that is my quick summary of the entire video. If you want to know why I actually say that, stay until the end. I will let you know my insight as a wedding videographer for the past 7 years, why you should also go and get Sony A7S II 10-year-old camera. First of all, let's clear the elephant in the room. What are the bad things about this camera that made this body camera price went so down and it's almost forgotten now? People actually refuse to take this camera. And I'm going to go very quickly on this. It's going to be the battery, it's going to be the menu, it's going to be 8-bit output of the video image, it's going to be performing very poor in S-Log2 and S-Log3. Screen of the camera cannot be tilted in a way that the person who actually recording can't view the screen. And I can keep talking all the bad things about this, but if you ask me, none of this actually matter anymore. The only con for this body that I feel and I agree with would be the focusing speed and the focusing accuracy. This camera autofocus performs quite bad. Now you can actually understand why I said if you are using wide lens, you can actually proceed to use it, because wide lens somehow at a certain distance, when you go above certain distance further away from the camera, everything going to be in focus. So when you use wide lens, you're going to get away with it. Whether you have good autofocus or not, it does not matter anymore. So any other cons that this camera has, it does not bother in the way that I'm shooting, editing, exporting out, and also sending it to the client. Somehow it performs, if not equal, almost at par at A7S III, and I'm going to explain to you shortly. So why do I say that A7S II is still relevant in 2025? I'm just going to give you one reason about the image quality. I mean, one of it is image quality. I'm just going to give one reason for image quality. When I edit my footage using A7S III with A7S II, A7S III is quite expensive, around 15,000 when I actually bought it 2 years ago. And this camera is now retailing for around 3,000 for second hand. When I edit these two footage side by side, I can actually match it together. You got it? Of course, when I edit it, during my editing process, Sony A7S III has more leverage to play on the colors, to play on the exposures and everything. But A7S II has that limitation. Yes, that I accept. But since I know I'm going to match it both, I make sure I shoot both in the right exposure. It helps me a lot when I'm actually editing it to match it together. And that makes me very, very happy that I don't need to actually sell this camera for undervalue. Number 2, Sony A7S II never overheat on me. Number 3 is the low light. The low light is amazing. A beautiful image consists of a lot of criteria. One of it is an image without noise, you know, the little dots. So when you have an image without the little dot, it's going to look nice. It's going to look less distracting. It's going to look very professional. So having this to shoot at a place where there's low light, your image is going to still look amazing. So does this statement sounds familiar to you? Yes, right? So let me add on to that. Even in a normal scene, when you have shadows in the image, imagine how nice that place would be compared to any other cameras that does not perform as good as this in low light. So the idea of it performs good in low light has been misinterpreted, and somehow they feel, oh, this camera is going to perform good in dark. Yes, it does perform good in dark, but somehow in a normal image that you are shooting, see, like here there's a lot of shadows everywhere, right? The shadows in your similar image that you're shooting is going to look clean. Since it's clean, the entire image is going to look great. Okay, so I hope you do understand when people say this camera low light capacity is good. It's not only shooting in the pitch dark. Number 4 is going to be a very quick one. Since I'm a professional in videography and not photo, I took an image on Sony A6300-6500, and then I took a similar image in A7S II, and I can feel difference. I'm not going to talk much about this because I do not have that photo anymore. So logically, if a camera can handle video quite good, it's going to perform even better in photo. It's going to be 12-bit. Here is just going to be 8-bit. If 8-bit it can perform good, imagine how good it's going to perform in 12-bit, because 12-bit is a raw photo that you're taking. So what is the gray area are we talking about? The gray area that I feel in this camera is, I feel it's an advantage, but for some of you, you might feel it's not. So that's why I put it in a gray area category. So when you're actually shooting at high level frame rate, the camera crops at 2.2. So which means you're going to have a closer image. So let's say you're shooting at 60 frames per second using your 50mm lens. You're going to get a 50mm equivalent image. If you're shooting at 120 frames per second, the 50mm lens, since the image is getting cropped at 2.2, the image that you're getting is almost under 20mm. So for some, this scenario is a disadvantage for them because they want to shoot high frame per second and they want to maintain the same focal length. For people like me, I see that as an advantage where in my same lens, 55mm, I'm also getting 110mm. So when I use a normal mode, it's going to be 55. Crop sensor is going to be 75. When I use high frame, it's going to be 120. Unfortunately, the autofocus speed of this Sony A7S II from bad become worse, and I'm so sorry for that. The next reason why I actually feel thankful for this camera body is because the focusing speed is that bad that I have to learn manual focus. Since I'm being forced to learn manual focus, somehow now I'm very good at manual focusing. It's an additional skill that I attained from using manual focus. So that's it guys, that's my take on the Sony A7S II. Hope you enjoyed the content. So please remember, all this is based on my input, my experience and my take on how I approach my wedding. And because the way that I approach, that is why my opinion on this might slightly differ. So thank you guys, that is the reason why I'm still going to keep my Sony A7S II in year 2025. And if you feel the same, go and get one. Or if you already own one, please keep it. If there's anything that I've missed or I should have added, please let me know in the comment. Until then, thank you so much. Keep watching. Signing off from Para Cinematic. Do people still shoot like this?